do. I thought, I'm probably on camera, I better not, you know. I better behave.
Does that, it'd be like the old Sonic remotes.
This guy has
Oh, yeah,
every
the-
toy,
Where your
whistle,
dog runs
bell,
by and his,
you know, whatever.
his chain, no, his chain jiggles and changes the channel.
Drives his
Oh,
own
really?
jet. Pilots
I
his
do
own
remember
jet
those
back
literal
and forth in
clickers
Portland.
that would use sound
I would say
to
it's
change
40,
channels.
Father was
maybe 48
got our
foot
first TV in
yacht.
1952.
I don't, I
He was
mean,
way ahead of his time because
I almost said, are you married?
button switch,
I am, but we can.
long,
Yeah, right.
fair bleed, broke into the
Replay.
Every toy in the
Because I
book.
just look back and this is when I started taking.
Oh, wow.
Chuck Trover.
Of course, it ran across the
He is married, he's got a very nice wife, but
And
she's
I,
never
that
here.
was March, and the first time I
comes
came
down
was
by
in
himself.
July. So it must have been 2013. That's amazing.
No, no. I'm bad, but I'm not that bad.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Well,
know.
I've been here in South Carolina for about 9 years,
Okay.
and I've been here steady.
He gave me final payment. I said, artists don't pay. You know, it's not, here's an extra 10, get yourself some lunch.
All right, we got 3 minutes.
And you said seriously?
I was really, I haven't gone for the guys yet, but it's where she buys. And it's, I was just really
I'm
impressed.
sorry?
Especially if you already.
Well, I did,
You might even be
effusively,
because I think it's
several
right.
times.
You know,
I think he was just kind of grateful for the company, and then grateful that he had somebody in the house he could trust. I mean, the only place I went in that whole house was the bed. He had a powder room. I never left the hall. Yeah. His gardeners trapped raccoons on the property. And the first time I went out in the garage, there was a dog crate with a raccoon.
Oh, no.
Yeah, nasty little thing. He was fighting him. I said, "What are you gonna do?" Well, that afternoon they were taking him out to let him go in the hinterland somewhere.
Well, you
Somebody
have
else's
to-
house.
Yeah. No, I think it was heading out to the desert. And is that a cat or is that a raccoon, right? Or sometimes, oh, it's a skunk. We've got the cutest skunk family in the neighborhood, and, you know, basically, if you leave them alone, they leave you alone. But I see her go up the street every once in a while with the family behind.
Unless you had a wire cage
They're
around
always
it.
trying to get the fish. Got places for the fish to hide. But boy, they could be nasty.
There's more.
I've gone after it before and tried to chase them off.
Raccoons?
That light that comes on at night, you know, if they come around.
Location.
Man, I mean, they just start hissing at you.
He did hiss, just like a large cat.
Oh, boy.
No, the truth is they kicked him out.
You wanna tangle with me?
What did you fish for? Oh, really? I'm a marine biologist and I work for the California Department of Fish and Game. So I've associated a lot with commercial fishermen.
I'm still a sport fisherman, that's why I'm not here.
Oh, yeah.
Go
You
west and
work for California what?
Fishing game.
Fishing game?
Well, it's Fish and Wildlife now. Somebody influenced them to make the change.
I think we're ready to start, or I'm ready to start. I think you guys started without me.
We did, we don't need you anymore.
So
That's pretty cool.
I'll take just a moment to introduce us real quick. Can you guys hear us over there? James, you good? Yeah?
Figure out why lightning
Well, I'm Scott Stimson with International Computer Solutions, and this is our San Carlos Computer Club. Sorry guys, I don't mean to shut you down. We'll be deep in conversation in just a moment. I just wanted to do a quick intro and introduce you guys. The San Carlos Computer Club, this is where all the tech knowledge comes from for our community. If you want to solve a problem, bring it here and we'll work on it for you.
There's gonna be a crowd next week.
That's right. There's going to be a whole bunch of people. How do I fix my plumbing? What do I do when my electricity keeps turning off? Where do I pay the bill?
We have to say hi to your sister-in-law.
That's right. Hello,
Hi,
Sony, out there in internet land. Everybody, hello. There we go. Look what power I yield.
Can you turn her camera on and?
Wouldn't that be fun? If the internet was stable, we probably could get away with something like that. I've never attempted it. Even having this monitor is a difficult thing to attempt. I don't know if you know, but I've got a lot of wires back here.
So Albert, what are we gonna talk about today?
Albert? Where's Albert come from? Oh, that Albert. I thought you were referring to my girth. So Bob made a request that maybe I would hit some of my topics first so they didn't get pushed out of the way for our regular conversation. I hope everybody's on board with that. I've actually got some real light stuff today that I brought along. I typically try to bring at least 3 topics with me. So I've got 2 topics left over from last week that I think are still current. And I brought a tip for Chrome users that has just been driving me crazy for weeks. Actually, longer than weeks, but I've only been really paying attention to it for weeks, going, this is nuts. And what got me thinking about this was that there's this push for this thing called progressive web apps. And you guys don't need to understand what that means, but I mean, it doesn't matter because you'll end up with apps. You'll have apps on your computers, apps on your phone. It really doesn't matter how they're developed. But it's interesting to me because a progressive web app is a standardization on web technologies. And what that'll mean for us is things will just look the same more often and work the same more often. Whether it's on your phone, your laptop screen, your tablet, or hell, even on your refrigerator, if you're pulling up an app, you would expect it to behave the same way. And it's because it's all in this fundamental mode of web technologies. So one of the things that we've been watching happen is this push notification. And we've been watching it for a while now, where you go to a website like CNN or CNET or one of these periodicals, and your web browser will say, would you like to receive notifications from this website? And I don't know if you guys are like me, but I've gotten really good at blindly just saying block. I really don't want the CNN website to be flashing notifications up at my computer every time a new story is there. And that's essentially what we're talking about is these. And the reason that exists is because over the last year there's been this real push for progressive web apps. And this is what's going to allow you to take a shortcut, stick it on your device as though it's an app, have it encapsulated in an app format, and then receive notifications from it if you'd like. Unfortunately, the flip side of that is every website you go to will be asking you this eventually. Every single website will be asking you, would you like notifications to your device? This isn't so bad if you're only going to the same 5 all the time, but this gets very frustrating if you're surfing news sites, you're going to new places to get news, you're using a Google search to go to every place could be a new location, every place wants permissions to send you notifications. And if you just hit the wrong button, now you're getting notifications from who knows where. They're just popping up. Yes?
How can you
have to go
stop?
through though and check your notifications all the time because even when you say no, you don't want them,
they're
Well-
sometimes still there.
And in general, that you're talking about general notifications,
Yes.
the way your device receives, either at the top of the screen if it's an Android device, to the side of the screen if it's a Macintosh, now to the side of the screen if it's a Windows computer.
How can you stop it?
So this is the question. I don't want any of these notifications. I want them all gone. I'm sick of dealing with it. So this morning I did a couple of quick Google searches and found that this is possible across the browsers. I've brought the instructions for Chrome. I'll leave the link for Chrome, but I found it's just as easy as how do I disable notifications in Firefox, in Safari, so that's the Google searches. How do I disable notifications in and your browser of choice? So in Chrome, let me bring it up here. It's 4 steps. The last 3 are devious. This is right on Google's support site. 1, on your computer, open Chrome. 2, at the top right, hit the More button and choose Settings from the menu. Now 3, at the bottom, click Advanced, and under Advanced you'll find Privacy and Security. Now what Privacy and Security is another list of a very extensive list of different kinds of permissions for the Chrome browser. And I literally scrolled past site settings twice before I even realized I was missing it. I'm like, where is it? I was looking for something emboldened, easy to find. It's just lost in this list of privacy and security settings. You're looking for site settings. Now this gets even weirder because what you'll be presented with is a list of the sites that you've already blocked and any sites that you may have set to never block, or to always block. No, to never block. I think that's right. I think I've got that right. Now, above this list, that's what you're saying. Hold on. This is what you're seeing. It's so less complicated, but I want you to understand what you're looking at. You're looking at this window, has a list on it. The only thing that matters to you is the button above the list. And it reads very strange. It says, turn off ask before sending. It's already on, and what reads right next to it is ask before sending.
So you're still annoyed by the ask.
Right, because you don't, I mean, it's like, wait a second. If I turn that off, then they're just going to send them to me. No. If you turn that off, everything is blocked. After you turn it off, it says all items are blocked next to it. So this is everything's blocked, or ask me before sending the notifications. Okay? It's a very googly way to do things. It's all set up for you to get these notifications, and it's not very clear how to turn them off.
But it doesn't have that particular wording on an iPad.
In Chrome, what's the wording it's got?
Well, it says the same things, but when you tap those 3 little dots, it says, then you just go to settings. and
Right?
then-
You go to settings.
And then.
Step 1 or step 2.
Right, but then it says,
Go to advanced to the
There
advanced
is-
settings.
there is no advanced, you see.
Do you keep scrolling through? Is there an advanced section? Do you have no advanced section?
Well, let me go back to the,
Like my remedy
No.
better, sledgehammer.
You know what you could do? You could, at the top of those settings should be a search field. You try typing in site settings. Does that appear? Or site should start. A list should be appearing.
okay, go to the website, on the left of the web address, click, so this is talking about specific web
Right.
pages.
Now that, right above that list, there's a button. It's a toggle button. And it should say ask me before sending.
Okay,
And if you touch that button, it will turn off that setting, and the off setting is block all notifications.
well, I will look for that.
You don't see it there?
But that could be user error always.
Okay. Well, I will put a link to these instructions on the website with this podcast so you guys can look at scclub.org. If you're having trouble, remember what I'm saying here. I always try and put links to things that I think are useful there so that you guys don't have to take notes if you don't want to.
Scott?
Yes.
What is the purpose of doing this?
Again, it is because more and more websites are going to start asking you if you want to receive notifications from the website.
No, that's not the purpose.
That is the purpose.
No.
To turn it off is to stop that.
No. You get too much information.
I don't know what you mean. What is the purpose, Bob?
Okay, it seems like if you want to turn it off, there's a reason for turning it off, and that is you don't want so much information thrown at you. Isn't that right?
Well, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
You want to take control over these notifications.
Right.
Yeah.
Right now, I got 700. I used to have about 200 emails, and I have to go through those things. That takes a lot of time. So
Are
I
you
don't wanna do that.
Are you still looking in your junk mail?
Yes, because there are some things. Yes, I am. Yeah, I am. Because some things come in
So I
junk
call
that I don't, and I don't know why they come in the junk about.
Bob, you've got to change your hijinks. I'm sorry. Anybody that's losing their email in your junk mail is going to be contacting you saying, "How come you haven't gotten back to me?" I mean, this is the new wave of doing this. I never look in a junk mail folder. The only reason you should go to a junk mail folder is when somebody's like, "Hey, I sent you something, you haven't gotten it yet." Or you're corresponding with a website, and that website is saying, "I am sending you an email with an authorization code," or "I am sending you an email with your bank statement." When you're having that interaction, then you're in your email. It should have been there within moments. It shouldn't take months. It should take moments for that email to show up. And if you're not finding it, that's when you're exploring your junk mail, and no other time. The whole internet understands that it could get lost in junk mail, and if it is crucially important, you're either expecting it or they're expecting to contact you again when they don't hear from you. I think you're driving yourself crazy looking in your junk mail.
No, I'm doing a lot of communication with other people, and
Call
and
them.
I don't know. They've never
Well-
responded to me before.
Well, and again, you could take those emails, make sure they're in your contact list. That's one of the things the junk mail filter looks for. Is it looks for emails coming in from your contact list's emails.
They're not on my contact list.
Well, if they're not on your contact list, that's one of the rules for deciding whether it's junk mail or not.
Or you click
But
the
the
box
codes,
and say,
you're talking
"Not
about codes.
spam."
Yesterday I got 4 codes that I had to take out.
Yeah, with white,
And I never had,
white
I
fish.
never had.
We're this.
I don't know what the code is.
The codes were, I was bringing money down here, okay? And, so they send you a code as to getting into your,
Oh, like a verification
wire,
code.
it was a wire transfer.
Okay, well that comes from an email address that you could stick in your contact list, even if it's nonsense to you as a contact.
That, I have to know that contact though.
Well, it's right there on the email you got the code from. If you just take that email that's giving you the authorization code and add that email to your contacts, because there's an option right there around the contact. Depending on what email program you're using, it's going to be different, but somewhere around the name of that contact is an option to add it to your address book. And by having it in that address book, contact list, address book, same thing, then the junk mail filter is going to look at that and see, oh, this has been authorized. There should, depending on the email you're using, there should be something around that to say this isn't junk mail. And that's another rule that you can set by, it'll use the language of that email to determine on the next one, hopefully, whether it's junk or not. Yeah. Yeah.
Question,
Yes.
so on that ask before sending, you
That's right. And it has been psychologically, I mean, it's taking advantage of it. It doesn't make you don't want to turn it off, do you? I want to at least know what's going on. That's what the wording says, is I want to have control over it.
It says recommended on it.
Right. But are you sick of getting these announcements? So you turn it off, and then the wording goes to blocked. Which, why not just be blocked by default, right? It's like, I would rather be, why is this not giving my notifications? I would rather do that Google search. Why is this one website not giving me notifications? Well, I know the answer to it, because it's got to be all or nothing in that. Because if it's all, then you have, just like your phone right now, you have to go through each application and say, I don't want notifications. I don't want notifications. And one of the biggest frustrations with both the Google Android platform and Apple's iPhone platform is you can't do them all. There's no way to just turn all notifications off. You can do not disturb, which collects the notifications but doesn't ring your phone, but you still end up with a list of things that you're going to have to go. Many times people just wipe them all out because they're not even paying attention to them. The notification thing has gotten really out of hand. It's taking control of our lives. Unfortunately, what I've given you is the instructions and help for having control over the Chrome web browser. But you're still going to get a slew of notifications on all your devices in different directions, because that's the model all of this is using right now, this mobile model. And they're called push notifications. That means that a service is able to send you a notification. You're not asking for a notification. Just by visiting the service, they've decided to send you notifications. Just by installing an app on your phone or your tablet, you've elected to allow them to send you notifications. Well, these notifications could be Amazon's big deal for the day. It could be literally advertisements happening, right? Best price ever, 10 hours. This is the Starbucks app. You walk past Starbucks and your phone goes, hey, 10% off a latte. That's where this model comes from, and everything's doing this model now.
And we like that at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't like it.
Well, if you miss it
Come
once,
on in.
the next corner will be on
I
again.
don't want to go to Starbucks, I'll bloody well go. I need my phone telling me to do it.
If he wants to go, he doesn't.
Did that answer your question?
I don't know if
Yeah.
it's
It won't come back, it'll stay blocked.
It should stay blocked, but it is Google. So they update their web browser all the time, and I'm speculating that they could easily at any moment decide being on is the default after an install. And so you would have to go through these steps again to get it turned off. Or there are new steps when they reword everything because everybody found the way to turn it off. If you follow what I mean, whatever the new instructions are, we've watched too much of that. We've watched too much of when the new version gets installed, everything I set gets set to whatever they think the new default should be. And so I wouldn't be surprised if in the future, if not immediately, but in the future, maybe there's an install that sets this back. So we just got to keep looking for it. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you go to a website and it says, would you like to get notifications from Xbox.com? You're like, no, never. What? Go away. I'm trying to read this
They don't go
article.
All you need is like, get out of here and don't come back, but
Yeah. Well, and I found a list of sites that said block, and then I found one that said never block. And I'm like, I don't remember ever telling them to never block. It was either allow or block. It never told me at the time that I was never going to have a chance to look at this question again unless I got deep granular into these settings, that it would require me to do a Google search to find how to do this.
What else do you have?
There you go, Bob. See, this is the reason I let you guys go first. I just wasted 20 minutes on a Google option.
I just
No,
look
it's
at,
very informative.
Facebook sometimes. I scan through it, and if there's music on there that I'm interested in, I'll click on it. And usually on the right-hand side, there's 8 or 10
Yeah.
other files that you can check on. And somewhere, not generally on the first time, but after 3 or 4 videos,
It just
you
does
get
it.
a friggin' commercial in the middle of a you know.
This is in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
5
that's always
seconds,
fun.
And then it comes back and, you know, talk about, and if they're out to try to annoy you, they've just beat it.
Well, with, YouTube.
Gary, just to follow
YouTube,
up
you
on
can
Gary
pay.
real quick, this won't stop that.
Oh,
Okay.
No, but
when I
if
see
if
one of
you're
those,
bothered
I just
with,
shut everything off.
if you're bothered by watching YouTubes and having 2 commercial breaks in the video, you can pay YouTube,
Put
To
it-
take one of them?
no, to remove all commercials.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
subscribe,
Commercials,
sure.
If you subscribe, yeah.
If it ain't free, I don't go there.
Well,
I'm with you, kid.
I don't know. Have you guys noticed that it's becoming a thing now to have 2 commercials when you start a video?
Yes.
Yeah,
Nothing for free.
and one in the middle.
And one in the middle, yeah.
Speaking of free, Roku during December is streaming HBO and Showtime for free.
Oh, wow. That's wild.
Certain programs, yeah.
Now I wonder if,
I thought Roku's running by the way of the dodo bird.
No, it's only if you have an older model Roku. They're gonna stop
yeah, Roku's still a big deal. It's a real big deal here in Latin America now, too.
I went through about 4 of them, and then the word was it's gone completely. Mexico was taking it away.
So that was true up until last January, and then they hit the market hard. They continue to push product throughout Latin America. They continue to develop multilingual offerings, and as soon as that judgment was reversed, they hit the market hard. They had more product on Amazon for streaming than Amazon had for streaming in Mexico. I mean, they still do. If you go to Roku on Amazon, there's just this whole collection of all their streaming devices available here in this market. And I think Amazon's still only selling their Fire Stick. I don't think they have the 4K Fire Stick. They don't have
Yeah, they do.
on Amazon in Mexico now?
Oh, I don't know. about
That's my
the
point.
Amazon
That's
side.
my point. Is the Mexican market is Roku hit it so hard that they're using Amazon's platform to sell their products in this market better than Amazon is selling their products in this market.
Can I throw a commercial in?
Sure. Sure.
Got it.
Hit the skip button if you. I'm just kidding.
No, it's
There's
for
no
Sony.
skip button.
We got Amazon Fire Sticks. I finally was able to. It took me days, but I'm there. I had to get a VPN.
Okay.
It's fine. Everything works, except that I could not use my Mexican HP printer that I purchased here because it won't recognize the VPN. Okay. Went over to his sister-in-law, who in 3 seconds said, "Well, turn off the VPN."
Yeah. That's very good advice.
I did. It worked. It's fine.
There are some really
It's very
complicated
easy to-
things that you
it's-
could do to make both work in conjunction, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
Well, that's why she told me to ask you. But ExpressVPN was terrific, and it's very effective, and it's easy to switch on and off. It's kind of my point.
Okay, so you're using ExpressVPN on
Yes.
your computer,
Computer.
and you're using Amazon on your computer.
Yes.
Okay, and that's the reason the VPN's
also
working
on the-
so well.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's working on your Fire Stick unless you've got it running through a
No.
router.
Yeah, it is.
The ExpressVPN.
I'm not watching television on the computer. I'm watching it on the smart TV. It's all Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Does that make sense? All I know is that when I got this VPN, I could not use. I typed up some stuff and the printer didn't work.
Okay.
It did not work. But now that she has shown me
Oh.
how stupidly easy it is to turn it off and on, it's fine.
That's all. So have you used it with your Fire Stick yet?
Yes,
And that works.
yes.
I wonder how that works.
Wait a minute, used what with the Fire Stick?
The VPN.
Yes.
Isn't that the reason you got the VPN?
Yes, yes,
So-
which comes through the computer.
No.
No,
No.
goes through the modem.
It would-
Yeah, it has
or
to be
the-
set up through the router.
There would
through
have
the
to be a router.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Terminology gets me every time.
So do you have a new router for ExpressVPN?
No,
No.
it's about a year and a half old.
But
It's through Telmex.
okay, but do you have your own router besides the
No.
Telmex router? Okay, so I'm imagining this isn't working the way you're hoping it's working.
Well, it is. I watched.
What-
I think you're winning, keep on.
Yeah, yeah. If you're happy, do what you're doing. But I don't think you need the VPN for what you're doing on the Fire TV. I think you could turn off
Yes.
your computer. You could turn off your computer and be able to do what you're doing on your Fire Stick.
No.
Yes. Oh, you guys are talking about something else. Yeah.
Not for local programming, not for things like ABC, CBS, NBC, and PBS.
What
I
app?
could not
What
get
app are you using on your Fire Stick?
App.
Yeah. What do you click on to watch these things on your Fire Stick?
HDMI? Is that what you're talking about? I don't know what you're talking
Your
about.
Fire Stick, when you got the Amazon remote and
I
your
just yell at her. I say, find it, you know, and she does.
Okay, so Ray, we will sort out what's going on at your
Never
house
mind,
at
I'm
some
happy
point.
with it.
Okay,
Leave it
Tell
alone.
me about this.
but
So it does not have to go through, you just plug this into a smart TV and it works?
no,
No,
no.
it has to go
Do you?
through a
Oh, I
Wi-Fi.
know the question I didn't ask. Did you install ExpressVPN on your Fire Stick?
No, I installed it on the computer.
Okay, it should not be able to do anything on your Fire Stick, including giving you a VPN. Because the only place that the VPN exists is on your computer.
But with the Fire Stick, I did not have access to this wonderful big world out there. There were a few things
Well-
without the VPN.
I hear that, but I don't think that's VPN related. And whatever it is, it's done.
I think it is too.
I know you do. I'm trying to help you. It's obvious you do. But it's not possible. There are a couple of ways it's possible. If you had a router that your Fire Stick connects to and that router is forming the VPN, anything connected to that router would have the VPN, including your Fire Stick. If the Fire Stick, if there was a VPN, ExpressVPN, and there are mobile apps for ExpressVPN. I've never tried one on a Fire Stick, but if you went to your Fire Stick and you downloaded the ExpressVPN and you installed it there, and it sat right alongside your Netflix icon and your Radiosity icon, you know, whatever it is you're used to seeing, and you started that, and it created a VPN connection from your
Yes.
Fire Stick, then that would work. But having it on your computer does not give you a VPN in the other parts of your network. It only exists on the computer.
However,
So does your Fire Stick work if your computer's off?
Yeah.
yes,
That's the question.
Yes.
And so if it does, then the VPN is not doing anything for the Fire Stick.
but you're
That was-
getting Mexican programming.
No.
Yes.
Well, now,
Yes.
yeah, you
The
get
only
Mexican
thing-
Netflix,
Right.
you get
Right.
Mexican Amazon Prime.
All I know is my world is bigger and better.
And I'm thinking that the content that you're looking for
Yes.
was available regardless, and that there was some other thing that was going on unrelated to having a VPN. And the VPN you have installed in your computer absolutely would work. You could go to Amazon and be at Amazon like you're in the United States, Amazon Prime. You could go to Hulu and you could act as though you're in the United States. From your computer, I imagine all that's working from the US.
So if I just went back to Infinitum, it would be all right? Because I tried it, and
No, Infinitum where?
here,
No. You said if you go back to Infinitum, where?
on
What
the
would?
television with the Fire Stick.
So the Fire Stick is connecting to a new router.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's.
Not a new router, but a new VPN.
Maybe it's connected to her computer.
But it's turned off.
I don't know. I don't care. It works.
Well,
And I don't
if
understand any
if
of it.
it's not connecting to Infinitum, then it would be connecting to an alternate router. So you'd have a separate box.
No, no, I just have the same old router
So what-
modem thing that I've been using
So
for
what's
a year and a
what's
half.
your Fire Stick say it's connected to then?
You would have to come over and read what
Okay.
happens when it comes up. I don't know. It works.
All right.
And if you screw
You
it
have
up,
to solve this mystery.
you'll pay.
Yeah, it is.
Big time.
Charge him.
You know, here's the steps. Turn off your computer and
Yeah.
see if you're fine.
Yeah.
And if you're fine, you probably don't need ExpressVPN. And the exception to that would be you've got two
Now
boxes.
that I paid for a year, you're telling me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the exception to that would be you have two boxes. You have one for your internet connection with Infinitum, and it plugs into a second box, and that box would be a Linksys or a Netgear or an Asus or a Buffalo, and in that other box, it's been set up for ExpressVPN.
No, there's no other box.
Okay, so you should be able to turn off your computer and have exactly the same experience with your Fire TV.
So she's not getting anything from the States.
At this, it sounds that way to me.
And why do I have? No, it is from the States. I have live CBS among other things.
Well, now what service are you using for that?
Okay. It's not Hulu because you told me no.
Well, Hulu's not available in Mexico.
Right. Cody, possibly.
Okay, so if you're using Kodi, that's one of these services that's
where you're getting CBS.
yeah.
That's where you get what? CBS?
Well, it's one of these services. You know, it's questionably illegal. Like it's not an authorized service. Some people have put it together.
You don't
Radiosity's that way. Scott Bailey distributes Radiosity to his customers, and you don't require a VPN to run that, and you get.
So, are you telling me that if I just turn off the VPN and just stick with, I'd be fine?
Mm-hmm. For the last 10 minutes.
Never mind. I like your sister-in-law better. She's not condescending.
Aw, you gonna judge me? It was 10
Yeah.
minutes. I was saying the same thing.
Roku does that. I can get CBS and ABC and CSBN.
Here in Mexico.
Yeah, weird.
But are you using the
Yeah,
CBS
CBS.
app? Like
No,
no.
because unless you have the DNS proxy on, that
Right.
won't work.
So
This is just,
Roku
And
providing
it's-
its own streaming, which is because
and it's not live.
it's
Oh, it's
clips.
not?
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's
It's
that's the
live.
difference.
Live.
Yours is live. How's she doing it? How is she?
Well, she mentioned Kodi. There are Kodi plugins that will allow you to do that.
I didn't plug anything extra in.
Yeah, but somebody set up Kodi for you because I'm sure you didn't.
Mine is live.
I use Kodi all the time. I wouldn't wish it on a normal
Don't you
person
need
at
a
all.
box? Don't you need a box for Cody?
Well, the Fire TV stick is a box.
That's Cody. You can get Cody for
Yeah,
that.
just kick him under the table.
Okay.
It's great footage. Go ahead.
And Roku does have live news, and I could actually
Yeah.
get an Albuquerque station if I wanted to.
Yeah, Roku, I could imagine because they've hit Latin American markets so hard. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a relationships where they can stream stuff under the Roku brand that come from different distributors because they've taken care of all that licensing. And that's pretty neat because Amazon really doesn't have something like that. I guess what they've got is the NFL. Like you can, if you're an Amazon Prime member, that's an example of that. Is you're able to watch the games down here, right?
What other subjects do you have?
That's a thrill.
Hey, I'm not a football fan either.
Radio. City.
Other topics I've got. Well, did you guys? Just a quick one here. Did you know that the CEO of Huawei is still under house arrest in Canada? You guys know that? It's
Now I've got a
that's crazy. That's
That is
over
crazy.
a year, right?
Yeah, it is crazy.
Waiting extradition to the United States.
But we don't want to let her go.
No? Yeah. We have Canadian opinions in here. What do you think? Wait, what's your opinion?
Well, I don't know the details of it, but I just don't like the idea of sending anyone to a country where they're gonna be in that much trouble.
Oh,
She
yeah.
thinks she's innocent,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, my opinion on that is like, unless you're facing like murder charges, capital charges, it seems very strange, especially because everything on the U.S. side seems very contrived.
That's my son.
Yeah, it's just really a bargaining chip in negotiations for business than anything else.
No, I was only ever in the courtroom for one extradition hearing, and it was Leonard Peltier, who was accused of killing some FBI agents, and they came and presented a case and took him to the United States. He's been cooling his heels for the last 30 years in U.S. jails, and it was proven afterwards that those allegations that were brought in court in Canada were not true. So he was extradited under false pretenses, but he was a Native activist in the United States, and they wanted him behind bars.
So this is what's interesting about the Julian Assange thing, because he's been taken into custody in Britain now, and the fear is he'll be extradited to the United States. But the reason he's in custody in the first place is on charges that have been dropped twice. From
Sexual abuse?
yeah, for sexual misconduct, sexual abuse, whatever it might be. But that's already been argued and dropped, and so he's only in custody because of things that have been proven not to be true. And he's still they're still scared they're going to extradite him as a traitor to the United States.
I wouldn't wanna be in his shoes,
No.
not if they do that.
I'm not a big fan of Julian Assange as a person, but I am a fan for the kinds of things that he has been representing, and so it's pretty.
Doesn't even help.
Pretty.
A question kind of.
Oh, can I just finish by saying, she owns her house in
Don't worry,
Canada.
You've used your time.
Oh. Just one more second, please. Yield your time, please. I just wanted to say, she owns her house in Canada. It's a big mansion estate. She's not living a hard life. She's under house arrest. It's just pretty crazy that we as Americans still have her locked in Canada under the possibility of facing espionage charges in the United States, hoping Canada will extradite her.
This
She,
is the Huawei.
And the
Yeah.
Canadian government is in a tough place because, let's face it, there's as many people in Canada as in LA, so we could just be like this anytime because of the United States. So.
like
we
what
can't
you're saying
just
is,
let
if
her
they
go.
really wanted to, they could just come in and take her.
Well, they could.
could.
There is that, but the other thing is that if we say, okay, well, we're going to let her go, well, there could be repercussions from the United States government.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Particularly in this volatile.
Yeah, that's right. Right now.
what it makes me think of is extradition from Mexico, and from what I understand, the only thing Mexico won't extradite you for is if you're facing murder charges.
Capital.
Yeah,
Capital.
if there's and even to the extent that, I mean, if you're facing possible execution,
Yeah.
then on principle they won't
In
extradite
Canada,
you.
they don't do that either because we don't have.
You wouldn't extradite an American that was hiding in Canada if they're facing execution for their crimes?
Not if there's facing execucation.
No, if
Okay.
they're
Because
facing the
we're
death penalty, then-
we're a.
If they're
right to
facing the
life,
death penalty, no. Yeah. I
I got a picture of her mansion with the Mounties trotting around the grounds on their horses.
No.
It's a hard life. I feel her pain.
All right, I've got a link to that article. It's like it's talking about how she's become this bargaining chip in this trade war, and how she's just, it's been a year
I
and
don't know
she's
who she
still.
is. What does she own?
Well, she's the CEO of Huawei. She's also the daughter of the founder.
I don't know what
Is she CEO?
Huawei is this
Financial
Chinese
officer.
company that the United States administration has gone after for espionage. They're the company that's not allowed to do 5G in our country.
It's because of that guy on Silicon Valley. That Chinese.
Right, exactly. Jody, I yield to you.
My only, it was a kind of a comment. you know, they had the shooting at the naval base in Pensacola.
Right.
Now they have like some kind of a internet meltdown that they're wondering if these are connected in any way. Have you read anything about that?
I haven't read anything about an internet meltdown. Is that in the same geographic area as
Same
the
place,
shooting?
Pensacola.
Pensacola. Wow. Now I know some of these shootings, the conspiracy theories are that they're distractions from something else that's going on.
Usually.
So it's got to be like feeding these conspiracy theories that there would be an internet outage at the same time. I tend to feel like anything that can be attributed to craziness or incompetence is much likely more than malice. that somebody that's gone on a shooting rampage has got mental issues more than it's some plot.
Especially
He's a
if they're,
Saudi,
Yeah.
especially if they
Oh
don't
well,
mind
that
losing
makes a
their
big
own life.
difference, doesn't
doesn't
it?
he's a Saudi trainee.
Trainee
Yeah.
in the Air Force.
Donald's trying to sidestep that whole.
Well, to feed into this, you've watched as it was Iran that lost their internet for a while there, right? Under protests, they shut it completely off. The ability to do it's unfortunate that we've taken this technology that can easily be distributed in a manner that it can't be shut off, and we've allowed it to be distributed in a manner that there are off buttons. They'd be able to turn off the United States internet, or the majority of it, very quickly, because we have a major fiber optic backbone that runs throughout the United States that's controlled by only one or two players, and so it would just be a very simple thing to shut down the mass transit of information. I suspect that in our nation we would never do that, or if we were going to do that, it would be in certain areas, because the moment you shut it all off is the moment that hackers would be coming up with a way around this problem. And the moment there's an in-place way around this problem, this never becomes a problem again.
They can't ever shut it off again.
That's right. And so it's been built in a manner that they could, but the first time they execute that kind of power is the last time they're going to be able to use that power.
Is that according to antisocial media?
Yes. That's you find that on the dark web, buddy.
We like the dark web. Part of
The
it.
dark web's got your back.
I mean, it's very interesting.
All right, and the last topic that I brought today is 7 Windows 10 fixes you wish you knew earlier. You may run across this. This is a Fox News article. Part of what drove me crazy was how poorly researched it was. So I'm not going to give you a link to the article. I don't. But what it did do is it triggered for me 7 tips that you should probably know about Windows 10 that are or are not related to this article, because this article was so poorly written that it was like somebody said, I need to do a listicle. What can I write a listicle about? It was horrible. So I don't encourage reading this article, but I do encourage the next 7 things that came out of analyzing why any of this could be useful. And I think that my version of it is much more useful than Fox News' version. The first one on my list is to control your updates. Now, if you didn't realize this before, but you can go into your updates. Up till recently, you had very limited controls, but you have the ability to control what time are active hours. So if you go and you look at your updates, you'll see below the updates there's a thing called active hours. And you can set the 18 hours your computer is most likely to be your computer, nobody else's. You have an 18-hour time frame from beginning to end that you can set where it's not going to bother you with updates. So this might be from morning, like 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. When outside of these active hours is when your computer's going to try and do its updates. You don't have any choice. It's going to update. Now, with the latest update of Windows 10 that we should have all gotten recently, this 1909 update that we talked about a couple weeks ago, you have even more control over your updates. Not only do you have active hours, but you have the ability to put off the updates for a week. So if you know updates are coming down the pipe and you don't want to have to deal with them, you can just go in here and postpone them for another week.
If it's all automatic, why would you do that?
Well, that's a good question.
A brave
To
man.
avoid this problem of coming to your computer when you're in the midst of something that really matters, and having, instead of going back to work, going to time to update your computer.
Yeah.
Because at some point it's going to update you, whether it's active hours or not. And up till recently, we had no way of saying, not this week, buddy. And that's what this is not this week, buddy.
Most of the time when I turn mine on, there's no mention of updates that are not in the way, but when I shut it off, it says update and then shut down.
Yeah, that's
That's
That's what usually
What if you
happens.
never do a cold boot?
if you never do a cold boot, it's going to do it for you. It's going to do, well, and really it doesn't matter if it's cold or not. A cold boot is when you shut it all the way down to power off. A warm boot is when you restart it or you wake it up from sleep. And it doesn't matter what kind of shutdown you do. At some point, when the computer is running, it's going to try and update you. And if you're outside of this wait period, it's going to go ahead.
Should you always do a system save before you let it do that?
It should do a system save, but that's a very good point that we haven't talked about. I've actually run into some situations recently where it was obvious the system save was not happening. It's called a system restore point, and I've run into a couple of different computers just recently running the older version of Windows 10 that should have done its own restore point, and I can't find any restore points on it. So checking to see that you have a restore point is probably some good habits to be in. Just in general, looking for system restores and seeing if there's a system restore point. If not, creating one yourself. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I mean, if that becomes an issue, we can talk about it. I'm looking at the Windows update from the latest version of Windows 10. There's a button that says check for updates. Right below that it says pause updates for 7 days. Below that it has change active hours. It's listing my current active hours. It's up there on the screen actually. It shows my active hours from being from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. So right here I could just click this button and I could say I don't want any updates for the next week. So that's one tip that I got out of this list. The second one is Control Cortana.
Control what?
Control Cortana. I don't know how much we should get into this, but under settings there is an option that should be set. No, where is it? Cortana is the Alexa of Windows. Talk to Cortana. Okay, so under Talk to Cortana, let Cortana respond to Hey Cortana, you probably want off. This is a security issue. This is the difference between having an open mic and having your computer listening to you all the time, but it also is the difference between your computer wasting a bunch of processing power ready to listen to you at any moment. I don't see any reason that Hey Cortana should be on. Microsoft is going away from Cortana, so there isn't anything to look forward to in the future. What Cortana is going to turn into is a personal assistant that can be added to applications. It's going to be an extension that Microsoft's going to offer its app developers, and Microsoft's going to do. It's going to put it in things like Office. It's not going to be, it was going to be the Alexa of the Microsoft world. It was going to be licensed to device makers to make make Cortana speakers. I think there was only a handful of Cortana speakers out there that ever existed. In your computer, you have the ability to turn a computer into a smart speaker. I don't think anybody's interested in that. I think what we're mostly interested in is computer running as efficiently as possible, having as few security risks as possible, and that's what this button means. Let Cortana respond to Hey Cortana, turn that off, and Cortana will not be running unless you tell it to run.
Can you disable it totally or uninstall it?
That is as disabled as Microsoft has it in Windows 10.
And when it becomes an app, that probably will be the case?
I see them leaving Cortana in Windows. Like, if you look down at that third icon from the right, this is a Cortana icon. I can hit that at any time. Hello, Cortana. What is today's weather?
The forecast shows sun with a high of 75 and a low of 57. Right now, it's sunny and 64.
So you'll notice that this is all captured within the Cortana app. With previous versions of Windows 10, this would use the Edge browser. It would push a lot of this off to the Edge browser. Now everything's going to be encapsulated inside this application. Even if it does a search, the results are going to be in this application, and you'll have to click on the result to get it to come up in a web browser. So, like, if I used Cortana, what kind of questions should we ask? What can Cortana do? And I lie. It did the search in Edge.
Or your default browser, is that correct?
No, this is another thing now. I actually, in my list of things, talked about default search. Cortana always searches, and this new search right here, the second icon over, this always defaults to Bing. It always defaults to Bing, and it always defaults to Microsoft Edge. I haven't found a change for that. Now, if you're using Edge, you can change the default search to Google if you want, or whatever. And that's one of my tips here, is if you're using Edge, then there's a way you can change it to default to Google instead of Bing. But it's a little convoluted, and I wanted to show that on screen. But these applications from Microsoft, this search application that's new, and this Cortana that's changed, that's encapsulated, those always go to Edge, and they always go to Bing.
So do you also recommend Hey Siri be turned off?
It's a security issue. I think that in my personal opinion, I think holding a button to do a Hey Siri command is fine.
But there is no button on my iPhone.
There is no button on your new iPhone. How do you do it then?
Hey Siri.
Is that the only way?
It's going to answer me right now. But as far as I know.
How to do a Siri command without enabling Hey Siri?
On my iPad, I can push the button.
Right, on your iPad you can press a button.
Right, so I just disabled that. But on my phone, there is no button. No button.
Look at that.
There is a video. We're not going to sit here and watch a video on it.
Look at
But would you investigate that and come back to club with that information? Because it's a great question. I've done a lot of stuff with old iPhones, and I didn't give it a thought for the new iPhone. Of course it's running like that. Of course that's the way you do it. There must be some button that you can hold. Yeah, maybe it is. Or a combination of side buttons. So a third one we were just talking about was if you're using Edge, if you're using Edge and you want to put a search into the address bar and you want it to go somewhere else, like I want this search on the screen right now to go to Google instead of Bing, which is how I've got it set up right now.
Bada bing.
It's not.
Can I answer my question,
Oh,
my
absolutely.
this minute? So on my phone, I have Ask Siri. It's listen for Hey Siri or press a side button for Siri.
Oh, there you go. There's your answer. It's
Perfect.
a side button for Siri. So, and the reason I say that it's a security risk is because that microphone has to be listening all the time.
Uh-oh.
It has to. For you to be able to say, "Hey Siri," or "Hey Cortana," or "Hey Google," your device has to be listening all the time. And so, at the very least, by turning it off, it shouldn't be. It's,
If
My
this
question
device
would be,
is,
what's your name again?
yeah.
Did you see that?
If this device is listening all the time, does it replay, or can you make it replay what happened while you were, say, gone?
You know, that's a great question, because no, unless it's something
Oh, it's
you've
not
asked it to.
recording. Okay.
It's obviously recording. We've already had information releases. I don't know what to call it. We've had reporting on the fact that series recordings have gone to individuals to help make the algorithm better. We've had reporting that random recordings being done on Alexa without, I'm saying all these terms. The 16 people that pick up this podcast are going to be so annoyed when all their devices are just shooting off in the background every time I say one of these terms. If we had a bigger audience, I'd be getting all these complaints, and would you stop setting off my device?
Did you hear about the member of parliament in Britain who was giving a very big speech about Syria?
Siri, and it kept setting off.
And his phone kept going off.
Oh. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
what do you want?
Well, so we've had reports that have talked about recordings that weren't even asked for, that are random, happening in the background of an Alexa device's home, and being sent off, captured, being sent off, and being observed by humans. And we've got things going on now, like Alexa is offering, I keep doing it, I can't stop doing it, it is now offering security services for free. If you have these devices, these smart speaker devices in your home, you just turn on an option, and now it's listening for broken glass, right? So if somebody's broken a glass or broken a door to get in, it's listening for those telltale signs and starts recording, and it starts sending off notifications to you on your phone, something's happened at your house. And so for any of that to be working, they have to be recording. Right? Whoever they are, they being on the other side of the speaker.
It's constantly on, right?
It's constantly on, that's right. So there's very little you can do about that except just chuck these devices.
Or clean up our act.
You can.
That's no fun.
We're gonna have to start behaving.
I tell you,
soon.
some of the weirdest stuff is you can. I haven't done it with.
Yeah.
I haven't done it on my Amazon account, but I've been told you can. I just haven't gone looking for it. But we have an Echo device, and we talk to it all the time. And I should be able to see every query. I should be able to listen to every query that was ever made across that device. I go into my Amazon account. This absolutely happens under Google. It was the funniest thing when I realized I could go through the Google history of all the things my kids were asking Google from their device to record, to give them information on. I could hear their voices. I could hear them laughing in the background. I could, right? I mean, it's this. Well, let's just say you level up a bit. You're like, all of a sudden you're much more in tune of how this stuff is working. All you have to do is come across this list of all these recordings that went off in your house. So that's what I talk about as far as the security issue. You've made a stride to make this slightly more secure.
If you're arguing with somebody, you can say, Are you serious?
That's exactly what I did.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, another thing that they mention, you can do this if you'd like. You can, instead of a password in your Windows 10 device, you can have a PIN. So you can go in and you can set a PIN for your Windows 10 device, which would be like just like your bank code. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not saying use your bank code. I'm just saying if you're somebody that would rather deal with digits, like 4 or 5 digits, you can set a PIN so that you can, maybe you have a touch screen and it'll pop up a number pad and you just want to go on your screen. You can find that in the account settings stuff, so that PIN is available. Any of these trigger words that I use, like PIN, Cortana, you can type into, right now what I've got up here is the settings, the Windows settings, and right at the top is a search, and you can search for PIN. You don't have to go digging through all those menus, and here it is, set up PIN. This is probably the best tip I can give you right now. If you're looking for a setting, look for it verbosely, and it will put it in front of you. So right here under Windows Hello PIN.
Hello, Pin?
Yeah, Windows Hello is Windows Security Suite. So you have Windows Hello Face, Windows Hello Fingerprint, Hello PIN. I don't know why they don't say Windows Hello Security Key.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The security key, I think, is a great idea. I haven't used it yet, but I could imagine having a fob, and I read about it. You can take a USB device, you can put an encryption key on it, and you can set your computer for that to be the only way that it gets access. So you could have a fob on your keyring, you plug into your USB port, and that's the only thing that authorizes your computer to go into your account. I think that's cool. I'm not recommending it to anybody because I've never played with it myself, and I would hate for it to have a breakdown, because then we'd have to do all this investigation to get into the computer. But it's neat that it's there. I want to learn about it. But the reason we're looking here is for the PIN. In case you want to put a PIN, that's not a bad idea. A PIN is sometimes more convenient. With a touch screen, I would imagine it's very convenient.
Use a pin.
Yeah. And this whole idea of going to Windows settings and searching for what you need, there's no reason to drill down in these menus if you know the name of what you're looking for. You can just type it in that search and it will come forward.
I'll make it today. I didn't make it last week.
To go down the list some more, resize your start menu. If you're a Windows 10 person, if you don't already know it, you can grab this start menu and you can change how big it is.
Didn't know that.
Well, and you'll notice that I try to have some method to my madness with my start menu. I have purposely resized icons. You can go on any of these icons and you can click with the right mouse button and you can choose the resize button and you'll have options. I'm making the word icon bigger now. There are these that get active updates like the calendar here. You can resize that so you can read the information at a glance. The weather, it's resized so that you can look at that information at a glance.
I never use that. I only look at the list.
Well, you know what's great
Scroll
about
down
never
the list.
using this is that Microsoft just announced they're giving up on all this active tile stuff.
Really?
Yeah, so the next version of Windows 10 is going to really de-emphasize this kind of stuff.
Huh.
I don't know. I've always thought the active tiles was an awesome idea.
Yeah.
The problem is nobody else has.
The list makes sense.
Oh. I think that, like the Microsoft apps are the ones that have taken advantage of it. The news, the Skype, your email, your calendar, all those things you can set up like a dashboard. And I always loved the idea of a dashboard like the dashboard in your car, where you, at a glance, you would get all this information. Microsoft did a great job of putting this thing together. If you still have a Microsoft phone, you're still loving these active tiles, because at a glance you can look and you can get Yeah, you can just get an overall look at everything. You don't have to go into apps to get information. But they couldn't get developers to develop to it. And so I imagine they're de-emphasizing it because they don't want to have to support it if no one's building for it. Anyway, you can resize your start menu. The sixth one on this list, I agree with Fox News with. If you want to watch DVDs for free, download VLC. That's all there is to it. We've talked about it in class before. VLC is the ultimate free media player. It plays absolutely everything. If you've got a Windows computer running Windows 10 and you lost your ability to watch DVDs on it, just download VLC, and that's the best media player that you could have.
Does it work on Apple?
Yes, it works on all. But Apple should have provided you with an awesome DVD player. If you're,
Maybe.
yeah, the
I don't have a
Oh, you know what? That's a good point. I'm sorry to say. Yeah, if you're if you've got an Apple device that doesn't have a DVD player, then you've got an Apple device new enough that they don't care about giving you a DVD player.
I had to buy it as a separate.
Yeah, so you will need this
Plug-in.
program.
Okay.
Yeah, I bet DVD isn't available in the latest versions of the operating system.
All right.
So VLC is an awesome program
Mine's
to
a
use for
Windows
that.
10, Windows 10 with no player.
With
no disk drive.
no disk drive, so it doesn't matter to you.
No,
Yeah.
I guess not.
Yeah. If on the same token, if you've gotten a hold of video or audio files that you can't play in your computer, VLC is an awesome solution for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're like maybe you have a security camera that you're using and you're having trouble looking at video clips, or somebody's emailing you video clips, or you've gone and downloaded some old device and you can't look at those, or then VLC is a great alternative.
And you can make that the default player.
Right, you can make that the default player. The last tip from Fox News that was so convoluted that I had to turn it into my own tip, and that is, did you know you have a narrator in Windows 10? You have the ability to have it read to you what's on the screen. And I thought the most useful thing out of the article I read was just knowing that you can hit Control, Window key, and Enter. Is it not going to work now? Because maybe this isn't a tip anymore. Yeah, somebody's got it down there working.
I did what you said.
Control, Window key, Enter. Wow, that's weird. It doesn't want to do it on mine. Ah! I'm hitting the wrong button. I'm saying the right instructions and I'm holding the Shift key.
Narrator dialog. OK. Button. Alt plus O. Heads up.
So this
Settings
narrator
window. Microphone. Link. Check the microphone.
actually puts a highlighting around
SDLKFJSD.
whatever
Google
your
search.
cursor's on.
Microsoft Edge window. SDLKFJSD. Google search. Scan.
So do with this, I now give you this power.
Exiting narrator.
I'm very interested in hearing how effective it's been for anyone that felt like they wanted the screen to read to them.
I'm going to call my brother whose eyesight is very limited. And he has a TV that does this.
Yep.
And this would be great for him if he doesn't know about it.
So Control, Windows key. Windows key is that key that has the four.
Windows?
Yeah, the window right on it. It's got a window on it.
Even I knew that.
Good job, Ray. Thanks for being here.
I think you got back.
You won't
So-
find it on your iPad.
No, you're not going to find it on your iPad. Control, Windows key, Enter will toggle it on.
Narrator dialog.
And
Exiting
you wanna know why
narrator.
this was a tip in the Fox News article, because they were telling people how to turn it off. Maybe you've ended up with this on, and you can't figure out how to turn it off.
Your computer is a rock sinker.
Yeah, it's just Control, Windows key, Enter to turn it on or turn it off.
Now, do you have to keep those all on, or like
how do you
when you
close
do
it? I can't
control,
control.
still keep it down.
Yeah, you hold control.
All of them down.
Yeah, control you hold down.
Yeah.
The Windows key you hold down, and the enter key you tap.
The tab.
And
Narrator dialog. OK. Button. Alt plus O.
Did you hear that, Irving?
Exiting
Turn it off,
narrator.
It's just hold control window key and tap enter again. It'll turn it off. Yeah.
That looks like a great item.
Yeah. Words seldom spoke about the Windows operating system, but it looks like great potential. We'll find out by next week if this was actually a useful
So
tip.
it'll read Spanish to you too.
That's interesting because the
Translate,
text-to-speech stuff does exist multilingual, but will it?
We don't know.
It might be phonetic, using English
Well,
phonics.
and what needs to be set up, like
GPS.
Windows Home, you have the ability to switch languages, but you have to be in a specific language. So does that make it more possible to read Spanish? Being able to, or do you have to switch your base operating system into Spanish to have that kind of?
No Spanglish setting.
Right. Is there? There are single language versions of Windows 10. I don't understand why they do this. You find them in Latin America more than you would find them in the United States. Like Windows 10 Home, you can have multiple languages queued up and you can switch over. Now that I say that, is that pro? But this single language version, you have to dedicate the computer to one of those languages. Yeah, that's the difference. Home, I could switch over to Spanish. I could turn it off, turn it back on, have the whole thing start up in Spanish. Without a doubt, the narrator is going to be able to work in Spanish. Single language edition requires you to do a reinstall of the operating system in the language that you want, which I don't understand why they still do that. You run into the single language edition in Latin America mostly, and I believe it's because they get a discount on licensing. When you buy an HP in Mexico, they get a discount on licensing by using the single language version. But you don't have the single language version when you buy an HP in the United States. It's just very uncommon to find the single language edition. I hope it goes away. I think it's ridiculous. Microsoft has made it free to do these Windows 10 upgrades, but they won't admit to it. Like they will still sell you.
I'll try to sell it. Yeah.
They'll still sell you an update. They will. They'll sell you a $100 update or a $150 full version, or a $200 version for the professional version. That's an upgrade, or the $250 version for the full-blown version. But they'll still let you update to Windows 10 from Windows 7 for free. I just did it the other day.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe this to be true until Jim was telling us about it. I'm like, really? I thought they shut that down. And then I read this article a couple weeks ago that was talking about how they've never admitted to this being the thing, but this is still the thing. And I had reason to switch over to another laptop recently, my old Dell that I've told lots of stories about. The cooling fan is dying in it, and it's making me insane. It's making so much noise that it has prompted me to dig through my inventory of garbage and pull out one laptop that is still possibly working. I've had to piece it together from 3 other laptops. It's an HP. I hate HP, but it looks like I'm going to be able to replace my old workhorse with a slightly newer workhorse for only $13, and I'm all about that.
Sure. Yeah.
But I needed to get a Windows 10 version on it, and I found an old Windows 10 professional license on the back of one of these broken down parts machines I have in my inventory. Covered in dust with a magnifying glass. I used that to set up Windows 10 Pro, and it authorized and installed the entire operating system, and it's activated online.
I think he's a hoarder.
So if... Oh, you have no idea. I come from a family of hoarders. I was trained by the best.
I had an interesting experience.
Yeah.
I
Go
had
ahead. That's all my topics.
I got a document in Spanish, and I opened it in Word, and it automatically translated it. Because I was getting ready to copy and paste, and
Nice.
I don't know
Neat.
why.
What'd you do?
I didn't do it, I just did it.
This
I just did it.
is this the latest version of Microsoft Word?
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not the online version; it's the one you installed and.
well, it's the subscription.
But you
OneDrive.
downloaded the full blown version and installed it in your computers. Like for
Yeah,
example, could you
the
just
first
use it
time I
offline?
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's neat.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, Irving.
Bye, everybody. Have a nice day.
Thanks for the printers, Irving.
No problem.
So where is your brother's cell shop?
It is behind Electra.
It is, and I couldn't find it.
It is. So imagine that you're standing behind Electra. Okay, like you're not your back is to Electra on the back street. He would be kitty corner to the right, and it's the Hospital de Cellular. And his sign might even be hard to read. But there's cell phones in the window, and there's typically a girl behind the desk, and he's behind a wall working on computers behind her.
Because we found some store, and there was a guy behind the counter, and he didn't know what I was talking about.
As far as cell phones go,
As far as,
right in front of that parking.
okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I'm not sure where we
Okay.
were. And what's his name?
Benny?
Benny.
Benito, but Benny, everybody calls him Benny Marquez. And this is my brother-in-law. He fixes cell phones. He's got access to a network of parts. So he's part of a bigger network that provides parts and service manuals and things like that.
He'd have a battery for our iPhone?
Yeah, there's a good chance that he would, depending on what age the iPhone was. But he's all set up to do iPhone repairs, Google phone repairs. The more common the phone, obviously, the easier it is to get the parts. But
It's a 6, so it's not brand new.
say again?
You can do laptop batteries.
Well, this is cell phones, purely cell phones. Yeah. If you're looking for laptop batteries, I would first check Amazon, Mercado Libre, and then you're looking in the States on Amazon and eBay. Those are your options. Yeah. Well, guys, I think we've reached the end. Majority of our table has decided that without us. They just walked out of here. They didn't even say where they were going. They just disappeared.
Let's hope they
Never mind. Bye, Sonny.
We did not get a chance to talk about anybody else's stuff. So next week I'll make a point of making sure we get to talk about. Yeah, but the worst thing would be for you guys to expect me to be prepared every time I come. I would hate to give that illusion to anyone.
That's it. Your shtick. This is it.
Well, you guys have a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday, 9:15, here at Tequila's, where we have the San Carlos Computer Club. We all meet and try and solve the tech world's problems. If you're in San Carlos, you should stop by Tequila's. They're awesome. They give us plenty of room, plenty of bandwidth. This is one of the fastest places to get connected to the internet. They got fiber optics. Sometimes it goes as high as 30 to 40 megabits a second. They treat us nice. They don't complain that we take over everything, and they don't give me anything to say that. I just like their food. I like their service. This is a great place to be. If you're on the internet anywhere looking for computer help, please get a hold of me. I'm Scott from International Computer Solutions. You can get a hold of me, Scott at internationalcs.net. If you're interested in our computer club, I record that weekly as a podcast and as a YouTube video stream. You can watch us in real time, or you can check out our recordings at our website, scclub.org. Until next Tuesday, Tech On. You guys have a great week.